Chloe. Welcome to the first episode of On the Air. Today's question, Mmr You A Believer? We're talking music-related conspiracies to fuel your spooky season. Did Dr. Dre start Burning Man? Is the tuning of your music screwing with your vibes? Did Paul McCartney die before Beatlemania even hit? And what does the Illuminati have to do with all of this? Stay with us to hear all about it.
Who's starting it off?
I'll start it off.
All right.
I'm Zachary Mays, and I'm going to be talking about the 432-440 conspiracy theory. So, to start this conspiracy theory off, is the music you're listening to out of tune? Scientists have traced the frequency of lightning and thunder to around 7.8 hertz to 8 hertz. And a lot of audio engineers know, or people studying audio engineering know, if you multiply a frequency by 2, you will get an octave. If you multiply the frequency 8 hertz by 16, basically 2 of itself, you will get a C1 I believe, which is 128 hertz. This is only achieved if you tune A to 432, and this is where the conspiracy theory comes in. When you tune A to 440, which we do now, starting in the 1920s, I believe, scientists believe that it messes with your vibes, basically. So, I have something here. 432 hertz is considered to have the potential to synchronize both hemispheres of the brain, the logical and analytical left side of the brain, and the creative, intuitive right side of the brain, creating what scientists call whole brain synchronization.
What?
Maximizing our potentials as thinkers, artists, and spiritual beings. What do you guys think about that?
That's 432 hertz?
Yeah.
432 is supposed to open up the whole brain.
Yeah, the scientists believe that if you tune A equals 432, this is going to be what's going to happen with humanity.
Why do you think pop stars aren't doing that to get people to listen to them already?
There's a whole nother side of the conspiracy theory where the Illuminati comes in, along with Nazis and all of this, because the person that actually helped America transition to 440 tuning is a Nazi minister of propaganda. I forget his name right now, but that is one of the people that led to the transition to 440 hertz.
Dang. So, it was a really long time ago that this happened then, and it's been this way ever since. So basically all the pop music that we know today.
Yeah, basically any music from the 1900s is going to be tuned to 440.
Wow. So do you think...
From the mid 1900s?
Yes.
Or
yes.
There's, what about 1920? Is that still...
Maybe early recordings of music, but because before 1920s, when people went to go play together, they weren't tuned together. And to help everybody tune together, people wanted to create one central frequency to tune to. Because say I'm a trumpet, I play in B flat, I'm going to tune to a different note than say you play flute, you're going to tune to C.
Yeah.
We need to tune to the same note and play together with the same notes. And when you don't do that, it's just not going to sound like music.
Right.
So to get around that, people stuck with this frequency instead of 432.
So do you think that's why classical music helps you study?
Oh.
Because
I didn't think about that.
that was my first
wow.
thought. It opens up your whole brain, and now you're able to think logically and creatively because you have the classical music playing with the right.
That is a very good.
Vibe. Yeah.
That is a very good idea.
But is the classical music, is that... So
it
those
would be
tuned
too. Depends on which kind of recording you got. Right. If you got one of the very early recordings, maybe a first pressing of a vinyl or something like that, maybe it might be tuned to 432. I know Mozart didn't really switch over until later because him and some of his colleagues didn't believe in it. But
what's the theory behind why they switched from 432 to 440?
The theory behind why they switched is actually the Rockefeller family is involved in this.
Ooh.
Yeah, the really rich people with the monopoly of the trains. Yeah, the railroads, my bad. But yeah, so apparently they paid off somebody in the U.S. Naval Intelligence to join the forgot what it's called, the American Music Society or something like that. And he basically helped them adopt the 440 tuning.
Dang. So when they adopted the 440 tuning, do you think anybody noticed and was like, hey man, this ain't cool?
I mean, when you do go listen to 2 different songs, one in 432 and one in 440, it's not that hard. Well, yeah, it's pretty hard actually to figure the differences out between them.
Mm-hmm.
But when played side by side and people are switching the chords right there and stuff like that, it is like you can kind of hear a difference. But I don't think anybody was really peed off about it, to be honest.
They're kind of just like, whatever.
Yeah.
Wake up, sheeple, man.
Yeah, come on, we're messing with your vibes now.
Vibe check.
All right. I think that's good for me.
Well, hi, I'm Lauren, and I'm going to be talking about one of the most well-known theories in music, the Paul is dead theory. So the Beatles, who doesn't know them? They're huge, man. And at the height of the craze, it was believed that Paul had died, that he had died along the M1 motorway on January 7th, 1966 in a car crash. And the fans heard this and ran with it. During the time, the Vietnam War and the so-called establishment were making things just very conspiracy theory-based. Everybody wanted to know the real truth, and nobody felt like they knew it. So that's why this theory went so far. So McCartney actually is supposedly Billy Shears, an orphan from Edinburgh named William Campbell. And the theory states that Shears just took over his life and continued his career in music. But it would be quite confusing because some of the most popular Beatles tunes, like Hey Jude, would have been written by Shears then. It wouldn't have even been the real Paul McCartney. So the people that agree with this theory would really be like a huge fan of Billy Shears, not Paul McCartney. So there's a lot of signs that people found on the album covers. I'm sure you guys have heard about this.
This is the Abbey Road one, right?
Abbey Road one. That's one of my favorites because my father bought me an Abbey Road poster for Christmas one year and then explained it to me, explained the theory, and it made my Christmas a little different. But so the first one that people started to look for was Sgt. Pepper's cover, and there was supposedly a funeral depicted. So, like, you've looked at it. It's a huge, huge cover full of people, but that's supposedly a funeral. And Paul is wearing an OPD patch, people thought, but it really says OPP, which means Ontario Provincial Police. OPD would have meant officially pronounced dead. So that's what all the fans were saying.
Wow.
Oh, he was officially pronounced dead. It gets crazier. Just wait. And then on the back, George is pointing to the lyrics Wednesday morning at 5 o'clock, and that was believed to be when he was pronounced dead. And then at the end of Strawberry Fields, you know that weird little jiggy thing that they do that has like a lot of instruments, and you hear someone yelling, and it's Ringo Starr, and he is saying, I buried Paul. People thought he said that, but really he was saying cranberry sauce.
What?
He, in an interview, yeah.
Wait, okay, hold up. What kind of lyric is that?
It was just him screaming. You know how at the end of a lot of Beatles songs, there's just like really weird, like little things that they were doing in the studio, and you hear him doing some drums, and then you hear, I buried Paul, but really it's cranberry sauce. So, you know, I guess that was something that the fans heard.
Well, what's your stance on this, though?
Okay, I don't believe 100% in this theory, but it continues throughout the albums. There are things that people can pick up on. Like the Abbey Road was the most popular, but the Sgt. Pepper's one, that's one of my favorite albums, and I never knew any of these things. And then the White Album, the craze about listening to the Beatles backwards. So people were doing that for the White Album. And if you turn Revolution 9 backwards, John says, turn me on, dead man. And if you go backwards between Blackbird and I'm So Tired, it says, Paul is dead, man, I miss him.
What?
Yeah, it's really it was pretty crazy because I listened to the recording last night and I didn't think it was going to be like really like you could hear him saying those exact words. I thought maybe it was some gibberish that people could, but it sounded like him going, Paul is dead, man. Miss him, miss him. Like, it was really odd.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's so weird.
So that was interesting that they went with the sound on the White Album rather than the album cover art, because that's where a lot of people drew their inspiration. And then the most important, obviously, is the Abbey Road. And this is what my dad told me about. So there's a lot of things on there that represent Paul's death, supposedly. Paul is wearing no shoes, which is connected to Sicilian beliefs about burying the dead. And he's out of step with everybody else as they're walking across. And he is holding a cigarette in his right hand, but Paul is left-handed. So why was he doing that? And he was the only one with a cigarette.
Snap.
It was, yeah.
Wait a minute.
And then on top of that, the most crazy part, it's supposedly another funeral procession. So the person in the front is John, and he's wearing all white. He's supposed to be the preacher. And then the person behind him is Ringo, and he's the undertaker. He's wearing black. And then Paul is wearing black. And that's supposed to be talking about the dead, you know. And then George is in the back, and he's wearing all jeans, and he's supposed to be the gravedigger. So...
Wow.
And then on top of that, one more thing. There's a car in the back that says 28 if. Like, it has a license plate that says 28 if. And Paul would have been 28 if he were alive. But actually, at the time, he would have been 27. So that was just one thing that people
What?
were...
Who's the guy that they thought
Billy
is-
Shears.
is he right-handed?
I did not
Yeah,
look
that was going to be one of my
Yeah.
questions. Was that guy left-handed?
I didn't look that up.
Because if he's right-handed, that proves it.
I wish I would have looked that up because that's really, yeah, could have tied it all together. But Paul definitely did not agree with this theory, and he even like poked fun at it later on in his solo work, and he made an album called Paul is Live because the theory was called Paul is Dead. And he's quoted saying, if I were dead, I'd be the last to know, when people were asking him about the theory. Everybody kind of...
He's dead.
You think he's dead? Yeah.
There's no way.
And then I wanted to find a way to connect this to the Illuminati. The viewers can't really see, but do you see this picture?
It looks like a pyramid.
Can I turn it
Right.
around for the camera? It's a pyramid with like a circle orb on top. Paul McCartney just posted this on June 2018 for no reason. Just really randomly on Twitter, he was like, I drew this in my notes, and this is it, with no caption, and, you know,
Maybe he's
people
been
went wild.
brainwashed. Maybe the guy replacing him was brainwashed to think he's him.
Yeah,
That's
I mean,
true. That's what I'm saying.
I don't see why they would even fake his, living to begin with, because that would bring more press to the Beatles. I mean, I guess I get it. He was the head man. He was pretty popular, and to be dead would be a downer on the work that they were doing, but still. So yeah,
That's
there were
crazy.
a lot of things that
That is
pointed to
wild.
that. He died. Yeah.
We're moving on.
We're moving on.
All right.
All right.
Last one. My name is Robbie. I want to be talking about how Dr. Dre may or may not have been involved in the Burning Man Festival, starting it. If you don't know what Burning Man is, do you guys know what Burning
I
Man is?
actually want to know where.
I've heard of it, I think.
Well, so basically it's like an annual concert that takes place in the Nevada desert, but it started either the late 80s or early 90s, and this random guy just decided that he wanted to go into like a California beach and build an effigy out of wood and like burn it just to sacrifice it. And I guess it got like a lot of following after a couple of years, but after you can imagine if you're just burning, effigies on a beach, that state is probably going to be like, you can't do this here anymore, man.
Yeah.
This is getting a little too carried away. So he moved it out to the Nevada desert, and he was struggling to get permits because he couldn't get the permit in California, so he went to Nevada. And that's where Dr. Dre comes in. If you don't know who Dr. Dre is, you should know who he is. Basically, he's rapper, producer, entrepreneur. Came up in the 90s, hip hop, very influential. And basically, all of this sort of conspiracy takes place in 1995 when there was a note found, I think, in the early 2000s. And let me read it. It's supposedly from Dr. Dre to his future wife, Nicole, who he's married to now. And it's from February 26, 1995. And he was actually working with Tupac to find a place to basically shoot the video of California Love, which is an amazing song. He says, I'm in Nevada with Hype looking at spots for this new video we are shooting for that single I told you Pac is going to be on once he is out, because he was in jail at the time, called California Love. We met a bunch of crazy naked mother effers in the desert today. They were putting up some type of giant woodman. I guess they have a big party out here for a bunch of days. I asked them how much they pay. They said nothing. I was like, no money? Someone should get behind this and make some loot of these fools, because they said there will be at least 5,000 people. I think I will have my office look into it just to see if there's easy money to be had here. I'm about to pass out, girl. Wish I was up in that. See you back in LA.
Oh,
Wow.
But
wow.
I guess the close tie to that is that he said that there was going to be roughly 5,000 people, and there ended up being, on the Burning Man website, you can find that there was around 4,000 people, which makes sense. But the argument against it is that why would they be building the Burning Man in February when it doesn't take place until August?
Why were they naked?
Well, okay, that's also weird too, because this was in February when he was writing this.
Yeah.
And if it takes place in August, if you actually look at the 1995 Burning Man Festival, that is like notoriously known for the naked people. Because like there was a giant desert storm, I guess, and they were all like, oh, well, screw clothes, we don't need these. And you just have like pictures of a bunch of naked people that were like, yeah, it's too hot and too dusty to wear clothes.
Okay. I guess.
But the conspiracy is like Dr. Dre probably pitched in a lot of money to get their permits to stay in Nevada for like compensation, so like a level of investment basically. But there's a lot of people who don't believe it.
But why would he do that? Like, what are his motives to do this, to help with this?
My thing is, this note being left in the hotel room, is it 100% backed up?
That's true.
Like, I'm the type of person that wants to see another letter written by Dre.
Yeah, to see his handwriting.
Yeah.
Test it. Has it
That's
been
true.
tested by?
But
I don't know. I don't think so. It was found in a hotel room, and it's signed his name, and it's to Nicole.
there's a lot of moving parts here, but a lot of them are kind of adding up.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
So, if Dr. Dre were to have been giving money to this Burning Man festival, was it ever stopped? Like, is this still happening today?
Yeah, it's huge. It's absolutely huge.
And people go worship a
It's not.
burning
It's less of a worship thing. It's just so like. But at that time, like, I guess the Burning Man, depending on when they build it, they can build it up to like hundreds of feet tall. And for 1995 specifically, it was like 40 feet tall, which I don't know if you can build that in a couple months. So it's like, that would make sense why they were building it in February.
Did this have any ties to the Illuminati at all? I'm just curious because
I'm pretty sure you can find something with
This
Dr.
is-
Dre and the
This
Illuminati.
is how big
Yeah.
it is.
Wow.
Yeah.
So
It's basically just like a little community. I forget how many
Are we
days
allowed
it's
to
for.
show that?
To show a picture,
That picture? It's on Google.
on Google. Right there. That's
Oh, yeah.
That's roughly the size of
That's huge.
So it's
Yeah.
a big hippie festival, basically.
But
Yeah.
this is more recent, and I guess back in '95 it was probably a lot smaller with only 5,000 people. But
That's so interesting that he would find them and think, yes, these naked people that are watching this Burning Man, they can make me some money.
Let's fund them.
Yeah.
Let's
at-
build them a giant statue to
sure.
burn.
the weird thing is that if you look at the California Love video, they ended up shooting it in California, not in the Nevada desert. But if you look at the style of the music video, it kind of like has Mad Max vibes, which is really similar to like what they do in Burning Man. This is an
wow.
example of the
That's cool, though.
yeah.
That is very cool.
That's pretty interesting. Wow. Well, those are
Yeah.
some really cool
Yeah.
conspiracies. I love hearing them. So
I honestly didn't know a lot about the Burning Man and Dr. Dre or the Beatles conspiracy. It was actually really
Yeah.
cool to
yeah,
like,
I'm sure
learn
The
about
Abbey
that.
Road one is crazy.
Yeah.
I knew nothing about the Hertz conspiracy before you, and now everything
That's
has
weird.
changed.
You're gonna be listening to music in a totally different way now.
I can't listen to 440 anymore.
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, there's converters.
do it.
We
can
all
do
gotta
it.
go back.
Changing our ways back.
Yes.
Thanks. Bye.
Thank you for tuning
Bye.
in.
Thanks for listening in to Off the Air. Be sure to send any questions, comments, or discussion topic suggestions that you may have to us over our social media accounts. On our next episode, Are You a Fan? Concert experiences and interviews with artists on our upcoming sampler album.